all over the place. So yes, hi everybody. Happy Sunday. My name is Valerije Nezaj. I have many different roles, as I'm sure many of you do as well. Um, I I am a first generation American Albanian, and you know, grew up in a household where basically children were there to be seen and not heard. If any of you are first generationers and grew up in a very traditional household, that was me. And so went through life really not knowing who I was, a lot of what I didn't want. I knew all of that, but I didn't know what I did want out of life. And I went to school, I got my degree in psychology, I practiced for 5 years, decided that that was not a field that I wanted to any longer stay a part of. It wasn't the right fit for me, and got married. I'm a mom of three. I've been married for 19 years. I had my kids starting in 2005, and 12 years ago, my son was born with unexpected head to toe medical issues. He's the only one with his specific diagnosis in the world that we know of. I've been to two geneticists. That followed with a whole bunch of other unexpected circumstances, a whole lot of uncertainty, just full of fear. And it was also where I really learned to pray and rely on faith. And, shortly after he was born, I lost my brother unexpectedly and tragically. That was, 9 years ago. And then just a couple of years ago, I lost my mom as well. In the interim, through all of this, I also was laid off during the last economic crash shortly after getting my real estate license. So there was just a whole lot of unexpected that hit me one after another. We had 13 hospitalizations over the last 12 years. We're facing another major surgery. Today, my son is 12 years old. He's beautiful. He's super sweet, super loving. But at the same time, I got lost through the process. And I think that a lot of times moms experience this, especially when they become mothers. But just from being a small child and growing up in the environment I grew up in, I didn't think about me. I didn't think about the self-love. I didn't think about, getting to know myself. I didn't think about where I wanted to go in life as far as who I wanted to be and how I would be the best version of myself. And so I was introduced, 3 years ago, 6 years ago to an opportunity, but 3 years ago I made a switch in that industry and met some incredible mentors, people who introduced me to the concept of personal development, also financial education. And I started to see that, there's a lot of things that I think many of us are not taught that we are capable of. We are often given so many restrictions placed upon us that we don't even realize we place upon ourselves. And some of the things I've learned, and I'm going to go through a list here, is number one, unexpected circumstances happen to all of us, right? We've all gone through stuff, and it's really not the things that happen to us that define us as people, as who we are. It's the way that we handle those situations. And there was definitely a 6-year period between my son's birth and, after the passing of my brother and all the hospitalizations, where I was in a super dark place. I was extremely lost. I was literally just existing, not living, and I didn't know how to get out of that. And it was probably my bottom in life, where I felt so out of control. And so, through getting around the right people and the right mentors, I learned that it's not really, those tough times we've all experienced are times that really mold and shape our strength. We don't get stronger as humans in the best of times. We get stronger as humans and as moms and as people, getting through the toughest and darkest times. It's those valleys that forge our strength. If we choose to see the lesson in that and to choose to have that victor mindset over the victim mindset. And I just want to be careful here. People are victims of circumstances. I'm not saying that that's not the case. What I'm saying is, when it comes to your mindset, those circumstances do not need to control you and define you as a person for the rest of your life. And so as someone who was very lost for so long, getting around the right people really helped me realize and pay attention to building myself, to getting to know me, to finding my voice. And that is what I work on today. You know, today I'm a network marketing professional. I am, you know, in the holistic health and wellness space. And in addition to being a special needs mom, in addition to being a mom to typically developing girls, you know, my passion and my joy is to help women find their voice, build their leadership skills, and create wealth improvement systems that work. And my passion is really with the special needs community, because if you pay attention to the statistics, there are far too many families struggling on, you know, several levels. But, you know, I'm really working towards helping provide support for the parents and caregivers of non-typically developing, AKA special needs kids. I'm just going to go over a couple of things here, things that I've learned, some tips before we get on to the next person, who I think is coming from Israel, which is really exciting. One of the second thing that, you know, I learned through all of my experiences thus far is that, you know, don't wish for less problems, wish you were better. It's something I heard Jim Rohn say. I'm a huge personal development junkie. But personal development without application really means nothing. So that stuck out to me. Do not wish for less problems, wish to be better. Figure out how you can better deal with the things and the things that keep coming up. Just work on being better at handling those and, you know, resolving those issues. And tell your story, because other people need to hear it. The third thing is time is our most precious commodity. You know, losing my brother, losing my mother, facing all of these uncertain times with my son, not knowing what's going to happen with him. I've lost several family members throughout my life. Grief is not something that is a stranger to me. But what I've learned from all of that is that you can never get back your time. So use your time with intention, because it is really the most precious thing that we have. And personal development is another thing I wanted to talk about. It's an absolute necessity when it comes to being the best version of yourself and living your best life. Speak kindly to yourself. Also, be sure that you do not allow people to speak into your life who are not in life where you want to be. Do not give people power over you. Do not let people belittle or make your dreams or your ambitions seem small or like nothing, or tell you you're doing things wrong. If those people are not in life where you want to be, whether it's a parent, whether it's professional, whatever it is, don't allow them to rent space in your head, because they're not serving you. They are serving themselves, and you need to serve you best so that you can serve the people that you love and care about best. So podcasts, books, things like that, I just wanted to recommend. I read A New Earth by Eckhart Tolle. That really helped me understand the definition of roles, all the roles we played. For financial education, I'd recommend reading a book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, or The Business of the 21st Century. And for personal development, you can definitely reach out to me, or I'm sure other people on here are readers too, and get more on that. Another thing that I really learned is a job is not security. You know, I encourage people to start a business, get financially educated, read those books I recommended, focus on building your asset column, focus on taking control of your time and putting yourself in a place of long-term financial security, because no one is going to do it for you. And as someone who got laid off not once, but twice during the last economic crash, and I had faced those economic hardships that I talk about, I'm not just mentioning it because it didn't personally affect me. It has. The truth is, the statistics for how many parents will have children that are diagnosed with something. Specifically, I know the autism statistic just in the last 15 years has gone down from one child in 164 to one child in like 68. Think about how many children, and I did the math with a friend the other day, that's almost 500,000 children a year being diagnosed with autism alone, not including rare disorders like my son has, not talking about all the other things that you just don't know whether you face or not, that really significantly impact your ability to be in control of having choices, especially when someone else is signing your paycheck. And that is why I'm such a huge advocate of starting your own business and doing all the things to be better and best at that business. Because if you don't have assets today, which are an absolute necessity, you're really at risk for, becoming a sad statistic. And I don't want to see people do that, because I think I have more faith in people than they do in themselves. So that I want to say about jobs. And I mean, I already touched on this. Surround yourself with the right people. And again, don't allow people to speak into your life that are not there to benefit you. Exercise gratitude. Gratitude has kept me grounded in some of the toughest times. I remember sitting outside of Boston Children's Hospital when my son was having a major neck spine fusion. We live in New York. We were out of state. I had two other kids that weren't with us. It was a tough time. And I remember sitting outside of Boston Children's Hospital, taking a breather and just thanking God for the cup of coffee in my hand. Because sometimes it's really just being grateful for the very simple things that gets you through the toughest times. And as parents, we're all doing our best. So there is no perfection here. And I wanted to also say that, drown out the noise, focus on the things you can control. The Serenity Prayer is really one of my favorite prayers, because in life, there are so many things we cannot control. And so one of the things that gets me grounded is focusing on the things I can control and how I can be better at dealing with those things that I can actually do something about, because it really is a waste of our time and our energy to focus on the things we cannot control. Lastly, ladies, as parents, like I said, we're all doing the best that we can. And one of the hardest things that I have really had to learn is giving myself grace, because no one will ever be perfect at anything. Not any single person has everything figured out. So sometimes it's necessary to just unplug and to take a breather and to just sit with yourself and be quiet, and just give yourself grace when you don't perform at the level that you wish you would. I am one of my own biggest critics. There's literally nothing anybody else can say to me that I can say worse to myself. So I have had to learn that it's okay to make mistakes. Nobody's ever going to not make mistakes. Learn those lessons that you need to learn. Everything has a lesson, and just try to do better next time. And, also, if I'm going to leave you with anything, if anybody's being or feeling like they are not where they want to be in life, I didn't touch upon the dream, but I'm going to, wrap it up here because we have a nice lineup and I want to, let other ladies speak. Definitely have a dream. Your dream can be bought, but your why cannot. So if you can figure out why you're doing what you're doing and what the big dream is, know that mistakes are necessary to get there. Know that in any role that you play in life, you're going to make mistakes. And we've been taught mistakes are the worst thing ever. We're taught that in school. We're taught that, failing is getting bad grades and making mistakes is so terrible. But my mentors have taught me something that's literally changed my life, and that's embrace the mistakes. The more mistakes you make, the further ahead you're going to get on your path and what you've laid out for yourself. So making mistakes is okay. Give yourself grace, take a breath, fill your cup, and just know that you're amazing as you are, and people need you in life. You were created by purpose, on purpose, for a purpose. And that's all I have for all of you. And I just want to give you all so much love. And I'm looking forward to hearing the next people speak. So thank you, Islet. I'm done.
Thank you so much. I'm so glad that you got to definitely be part of this. The second one, I know you were part of the first one, and I had you close it out. And as everybody who's been on the first one, you can see why she has such amazing wisdom. She has such an amazing story, just like each one of you. And I'm just so happy that, Clubhouse created this app for us to even make this possible, because literally, like I said, I've met almost all of you through Clubhouse. And so just for the people in the room, this is the Parenting Summit hosted by Learning Idiom. It's a nonprofit based here in Arkansas in the United States. And so, this is on Facebook, and it's also on Zoom. And then of course here on Clubhouse as well. But yeah, just definitely wanted to introduce the next person. She is joining us from Israel, and she is an amazing speaker. I've read her bio, and I've gotten to check her out, and she actually, Naomi, I think, actually connected us, and so I definitely wanted to highlight her as well. And so without further ado, she's not here on Clubhouse, but she is here on Zoom, so you'll be able to hear her. Dr. Lilach, you have the floor.
Thank you so much. Hi, everybody. My name is Lilach. I am an audiologist, and an audiologist is a specific kind of healthcare professional that deals all with ears, with hearing, and balance. And the specific thing that I really hope that anyone listening is taking away is that any healthcare professional that you encounter, there are many sides to them. You're seeing them in that setting as your child's audiologist or your child's pediatrician or your dental hygienist or whatever it is that you're encountering them in that context. We also need to see them as full, huge people with lives, with families, with ambitions and dreams and goals. And also, on the same exact note, to do it for the opposite. When I talk to other professionals, teachers, educators, anybody, to also look at the children that are in your life, that you're serving, the families that you're serving, and do the same for them. They're not a case. They're not, a folder or a file. This is a human child, a human being with a family, with context, with resources, with history. Like you started off the talk today about how we bring our history with us. It's always within us, not only from what we experienced in our lifetime, but also the generational things that we carry that are for our strength and for our burden, some of that mixed in together. And I believe that our children and children in general are the biggest teachers that can be, and they are mirrors. They show us exactly what we need to do. What's our next step? What are the things that bother us, that trigger us, that hurt us? The children will show it to you. The children will be honest with you. They'll say it just the way it is, or behave in a way that shows you, oh, that's the piece right there. And I'm sure you all know exactly what I'm talking about. So when I work with families who have deaf or hard of hearing children, there's so many questions. There's so much new information, often information that is quite surprising and shocking, because one of the surprising statistics about hearing loss is that 95% of deaf or hard of hearing children are born to hearing parents. So even though there is a genetic component there, most of the time, this child is the first deaf person the parents have ever met in their life, and may have never had any exposure or interest or anything that ever before it's their own child. And now they need to learn everything and make decisions and deal with the grief of that and do all of that all at once. So in my practice, I found that parents really are incredibly overwhelmed and under-resourced. A lot of attention goes to the child, which is excellent, as it should. But there's still this gap of how do we support the parents. So in my work, I've focused specifically on how to help parents be able to become empowered advocates, be able to speak up for their children and get what they need, even while they themselves are learning. And that's kind of that parallel duality that is life. We're all learning as we go. So I wanted to share a method that is something I teach very often, something that has really helped me in my personal life and in my parenting of my own 3 wonderful kids. And that is something called the FIG method, F-I-G. And that's just going to be a good reminder for you. Anytime you need to pick it out, you'll say FIG, F-I-G, and you'll remember what this is all about. So before I jump into what it means, I'll quickly ask you for everybody to take a nice deep breath. Maybe feel your shoulders go down and your feet are on the floor. Really be here wherever you are. safely if you're driving or whatever. But okay, just kind of be intentional and present for a moment and think about a recent incident that made you so angry or so incensed and you just didn't even know what to do with yourself. Like, how in the world did that person just say that thing about my kid? So I teach this in a context of, if someone says, why doesn't your kid participate? Or why is your child not listening to me when there's hearing loss? Or what is that on their head? Like, they've never seen those devices. Sometimes people say these things, but this can apply to all of us in any parenting context. Why is your child like that? Why do they do that? Why do they need that? Why are you letting them get away with that? Right, so I do not have the Clubhouse app open. I turned it off. I hope that's we're doing okay.
It's okay. They can still hear you.
Okay, great. So what I'm saying is, think of this situation that somebody said something to you about your parenting or about your child that really got to you. It pushed all your buttons. It made you angry. It made you sad. It made you feel maybe not doing a good job, worthless or not valued, or whatever it made you feel. And we're going to really focus in on that scenario. So really think, who did it, who said it, where were you, and what was it that they said? How did you feel when that happened? Okay, so the FIG method looks at this situation and comes up from a bird's eye view up here and looks at it from above. It says, okay, F, familiarity. Who is this person who said this? And what's my relationship to them? Are they actually a very important person that I want to invest in our relationship? Like a family member, your spouse, your mother-in-law, right? People that there's a relationship there that you are invested in, that you care about, that you want to nurture, and yet they said something that really bothered you, that really hurt. That's going to be different, and your reaction and your advocacy in that situation is going to be totally different than if the person is a stranger at Walmart parking lot, or if it's a child. Like, sometimes children say the things that kids say, right? So that's we really want to look at the familiarity. Who's this person? The I is for intent, and that's for a moment where we look at the other person and say, they said what they said, but why? What were they trying to say? Where were they coming from? And when we look at the other person's perspective, maybe they didn't know, they've never seen this before, or they didn't know what to say and they felt all flustered, and we can kind of see where were they coming from. Ignorance? Did they really mean to hurt you, or did they just say the wrong thing and put their foot in their mouth? And we have to kind of just consider that intent. And that's not to justify or forgive people for the things that are not appropriate, not acceptable, but just to take that into account from our bird's eye view. Who is this person? The familiarity with them. What is their intent? And finally, and most importantly, the goal. What do we want? What do we want out of the situation? And when you know what you want, then your advocacy is really, really powerful. Because if it's in a meeting where you're discussing the services that your child needs for next year, your goal is to be very firm on what those services are, and do you want them, and at what frequency, and in which district. So your goal is very particular. Other times, in other situations, your goal would be, you know what, actually, we're going to leave this party, this get together. It's not serving us. There's, people here are not respecting my child's needs for whatever's going on, dietary needs, or there's too much sound, or the activity isn't appropriate, or whatever. We're leaving, because our goal in that moment is to keep our child safe and comfortable, and this is not working. You can't really do that at the school meeting. You got to stay there and duke it out, So when you use the FIG method, FING, you can apply it to any different situation and become really centered and focused on what you need in the context of who is this person, what do they need, and what is my goal. So that's the FIG method. And I'm really, really grateful to get to be here and share this with all of you. I have an upcoming retreat that I'd love to invite you or anyone you know that has a child that is deaf or hard of hearing, or anything to do with audiology, sound sensitivities. And that is the Hear Retreat at allaboutaudiology.com. Thank you for having me. Enjoyed talking to you all.
Thank you. Thank you, Doctor. I definitely appreciate your words of wisdom and your availability. I know right now you said it was like 10, almost 11 p.m. So thank you so much. For the people on Clubhouse that haven't, connected with her, I'm going to go ahead and ping her in. That way she can definitely, you can definitely get in contact with her. And for all of the people in the room, just to reset the room before I introduce the next speaker. This is Learning Idioms Parenting Summit. This is our second one that we've done. The first one is on SoundCloud. This one will also be on SoundCloud. So if you do come up and want to speak, just be aware that it is being recorded. So without further ado, we have Miss Leslie. She is the Director of Operations of a franchise, and she is a holistic wellness practitioner and a certified health coach, life coach, and nutrition coach. And so I definitely am so excited I've met her through Val, and we all have special needs kids. And so I think when you're a special needs parent, you definitely have a little bit more wisdom than other parents because you've had to deal with exactly what it says, special conditions. So definitely excited for the next speaker. And Leslie, you have the floor.
Hello, everybody. How are you? I'm blown away to be here with everybody because so far I'm just honored to be with these amazing women and the women that are going to follow after me. So I'm going to try this and unmute my Clubhouse so you can hear me. Hopefully that's going to go well. But my name is Leslie Migliorelli. I am, like I said, honored to be here. I'm speaking to you guys from Long Island, New York. I know you can hear the accent. It is in there. It's also Italian, so it's all sorts of mixed. I live out here with my husband and my 10-year-old son. And yes, as mentioned, I am a special needs mom. Which just means we have a little bit extra things that we need to do in our lives. So like all of you on here, I am someone who wears many hats. I seem to have always been that person that took on many roles. Don't we all, right? Most of us are women. We take on the role of mom, the role of wife, the role of maybe employee or employer, the daughter, the sister, everything, right? So we take on roles for so many different people. However, we tend to forget to take on the role of ourselves. That's a little bit of what I want to talk to you guys about today. So by day, I am a director of operations of a McDonald's franchise. I've been there for 25 years. I've operated a total of 20 locations in my career. Started when I was very, very young. By the rest of my day, I am also a holistic wellness practitioner, and I am also a business owner in the network marketing space in holistic wellness. I am board certified. I have studied life, health, nutrition, counseling, all these things. And really it was because I was seeking a change in my life. Like many of you out there, we have circumstances that we grew up with. We have struggles. We have things that have kind of happened, and somewhere in our lives, we felt they happened to us. Maybe we were consumed by them. Maybe we became victim of them. And somewhere we make a shift where it's time for us to maybe, I don't know, climb our way out of that. And that was a little bit of me. I now help women find their voice, their purpose, their success in the midst of that chaos. I help them take control of everything in their lives, but we forget to take control for ourselves, right? So I help them figure out what that means for them. A lot of my clients have had physical changes in terms of weight loss, but most of what I do is helping them find who they want to be for themselves and helping them bring to their purpose. So all these things I do, people always ask me, well, first of all, why do you do all those things? And second of all, how do you get that all done? So like I said, a lot of us have had struggles in our lives. So I grew up in an environment that wasn't always the best environment. I've had parents that had emotional illnesses, mental illnesses. I myself suffered from mental health issues, addiction. Later on in life, I suffered a miscarriage. And then at the same time, right after my miscarriage, my son was diagnosed with autism and ADHD. So needless to say, it was a bit of a whirlwind experience. I definitely allowed that to blur some of the years of my life. I definitely allowed myself to, be consumed by that and really lost control. Now, granted, I continued to, keep on control for my career purposes. Listen, we had to eat. And many times when I grew up, we didn't exactly have food all the time and lights were turned off and stuff. So I was always fueled by that fear. But I never took time to deal for myself. I never took time to take care of my own personal mental health. And that is such an important thing. And that's what I want to share with you guys today. Hopefully not so emotionally, and I'll get through it without a tear. So many times when my son was being diagnosed, you guys who have kids in general, right, let alone special needs, know what it's like when the phone rings and it's the school on the other end. It's like the immediate response is, what happened now? I can't leave work to come get him. What's going on? So I love now that my son's new school's teachers, the first thing they say is nothing's wrong. I appreciate that because normally that was backed by other things. Whatever situation was happening and how quick could I get there? But what happens is now we don't take time to realize how can we take care of ourselves during this? So I know it sounds like I have a lot going on in my life, but there's no one on here today that hasn't experienced similar emotions and similar experiences in their lives. But we, again, forget, we get stuck, we get trapped, we feel suffocated. Now, I personally was very high functioning in my depression, my addiction, and all the things that I've done in terms of fighting to keep going, but I was just existing. I was running the tasks of the day. I was taking care of all the things for everybody else, but I stopped even desiring anything for myself. I stopped dreaming. I know Val mentioned dreaming earlier. I stopped living for myself. I wasn't living on purpose. I was just getting through the day. So I finally woke up, thankfully, before it was too late. Maybe I was 39, maybe I was 40, whatever one that was. It was time for me to change my direction. I was not healthy. I was overweight. My autoimmune issues were out of control, but more importantly, my mindset was just trapped. So I found strength in shifting into finding a purpose through personal development, wellness, self-care, ladies, self-care, and helping other women understand that it's not too late to redefine your life. It's not too late to reinvent yourself. And I think that the more that I helped other people change their lives, the more I was fueled to continue to change mine. It's like now you can finally feel the heartbeat when you're helping somebody else through a very difficult situation. Life is not always going to be easy. In fact, it's going to be not easy more often than not. So we can just have to refocus and take the time for ourselves and protect our mindset and take care of the things that we find important to us, not as the mom, not as the wife, not as the employee or employer, for yourself. And too often we don't know what that looks like. So I will tell you that the first place to start is always with your mind, right? Take charge of your mental health by strengthening your mindset. And we use the term, and maybe not everybody understands what that means. Well, simply put, it's the pattern and the way you think about your life. We have to reframe that for ourselves. I have been fueled by fear in my life because of how I grew up. If I continue to be fueled by that same fear, well, I'm not going to live the healthiest version of myself. So I have to reprogram my framework from when I was, a kid. Everybody has a different thought pattern. How I think is going to be different than the other ladies on this panel. So what we need to focus on is nurturing our mindset, nurturing our mental health, and that all begins with daily habits, daily routines. These are the things that I put in place to help me redirect my life. I was not going down a good path. And although from the outside looking in, everything looked so pretty and maybe unfiltered, but in the end of the day, I was absolutely tormented on the inside. So we have to create positive habits, positive routines, and also steer ourselves away from those negative and bad habits. So the first thing that I will share with you guys in terms of realigning your mindset, and this is going to be mentioned often because we're all very smart, strong women on this panel, but reading, listening, and engaging to people, projects, communities that bring you joy, that set your heart on fire, that are going to be the conversations that you want to be around. If you're around a conversation that isn't going to motivate you, inspire you, or light you up, then you need to separate yourself from those conversations. Having a feeling of being purposeful. So you need to next schedule me time. It is too often we think we're the last people that need anything in our lives. We are the last people to sit down at the end of the day. We're the first ones to get up in the morning. And if you look at your, I don't know, 11, 12, 13-hour day, what are you doing for yourself? So you literally have to schedule it and have it as non-negotiable. Thankfully, I have finally put that in place in my life over the past few years, and I definitely see a change in my mindset, my outlook, and my overall health, because it's all connected. You know, we think we have to do all the things, but if you don't take care of your mental health, your overall health is going to suffer, because it's going to manifest into other things within your body. And I'm sure the doctors on this panel can agree with me on that. So even though self-care is a trendy little topic, we keep hearing it everywhere, I want you to understand that it is important for you to do that. And it looks different for me than it does for you. Some people that might be going to a salon or a nail salon, a hair salon, or going to the gym. But for other people, it's simply reading a book. It's simply going outside and getting some real vitamin D and just focusing on the sound of the birds, making that time for you and activities that you choose for your happiness, contentment, and health is self-care. And it's not just a hashtag, it's a real thing. It's something that has to happen. And if once you start to include that in your life, then you're going to start to feel a little bit of relief and calming. Now, the next thing, and I think Val mentioned this, logging off, logging off of things and creating relaxing activities. It's kind of ironic. We're on Zoom, we're on Facebook, we're on Clubhouse right now, and I'm saying logging off, but I'm saying at other times, log off. Don't hang up right now. Later on, hang up and unplug yourself for the day. You really want to focus on the relaxing activities that are not so influxed by all of the things that start coming at you between someone else's highlight reel or somebody else's news thing. That constant content coming at you can be damaging to your mindset and your mental health, and it can make you angry, it can make you sad, it can make you frustrated, and it can absolutely make you feel inferior when you are not. You are who you are, and you're meant to be where you are right now. So unplug if you feel that anything else is damaging that for you. Do something you enjoyed as a kid. I recently took up painting, acrylic painting. I wanted to paint like Bob Ross when I was a kid, and I never did it. Well, now I'm doing it once a month or so. I paint a painting, and it might not be all that good, but I feel good doing it. Create morning routines. A lot of these guys you know of already, but how often do we not put these in place for ourselves? Journaling, gratitude statements, working on your growth mindset with affirmations. I am is the strongest, most powerful words you can say to yourself. If you are not telling yourself, I am enough, I am good enough, I am loved, I am beautiful, I am strong, I am powerful, if you're not starting your day like that, you are starting your day off on the wrong foot. So start today with adding that into your life. So a few other things: meditation, dance. Have a dance party in the morning before you get ready for your day. Feel the change in your peak state. Put the 80s on, the 90s, whatever makes you get going, because I will promise you, no one cannot smile without shaking and dancing around. So you need to put yourself in that positive state. So I'm going to just rattle off a few bad habits that you want to avoid. Lack of exercise and poor diet. Yes, it's connected. Your body needs movement. Your body needs the right nutrition. We need to put the right things, clean, as least processed as possible, into your body, because food and mood and gut and health is all connected. It will affect you emotionally and mentally when we are eating the wrong things. Perfectionism. I think I heard Val talk about this. And perfectionism is something we need to kick to the curb like right now. You know, do it messy, but do it. Progress over perfection. It is okay to not know how to do everything, but as long as you take that first step forward and get going. We're parents. We watched our kids, you know, stand up for the first time, head up for the first time, walk for the first time. If they turned around and said that they needed to go straight to running and couldn't do it, they'd never get going. We need to start giving ourselves grace to do things, to learn as we go. So I want to add in here that a lot of us are strong, and being strong sometimes gets misinterpreted in sorts of stuffing everything down inside of us, where we don't acknowledge our feelings, we don't acknowledge our emotions, we don't acknowledge our anxiety and depression. And then what happens is we often, and I have experienced this, I shared this in the beginning, you know, covering these things up with stimulants, whatever that looked like for me back then and whatever it might look like for people now. It could be as simple as caffeine for energy. It could be smoking a cigarette. It could be alcohol. Whatever it is ultimately when you hide your emotions and you stuff it down and you don't deal with it, it will only at some point manifest into something worse. So I encourage you that if you need help with figuring out your emotions after journaling it out and practicing gratitude, reach out to someone to help you get the right sort of help that you might have to ease that anxiety. I also suggest not overusing social media for all the things I mentioned before. Now, I know that anything I mentioned today was not something new for you, right? But what happens is sometimes as we're sitting here and listening, something is triggered. We have an aha moment where we say, you know what, she's right. I have gone through that. I have experienced that. It's time for me to make one change today to help take back the control of my mental health. So what I want to ask you guys to do before I leave you off for this beautiful Sunday is I'd like you to close your eyes for a moment. Now go ahead. I know it's weird when people tell you to close your eyes, wherever you are, just close them. And I want you to picture for a moment with where your life is right now. And I want you to think, how does that make you feel? How does it make you feel on where you are right now? Are you tired? Are you frustrated? Do you feel stuck? Do you feel exhausted with your circumstance? And I want you to keep your eyes closed. And I want you to think about your life 5 years from now. Now, please take a deep breath as you're doing this, because it can be a little bit hard sometimes as we want to focus on sometimes where we're really at so we can acknowledge where we're at. And that itself can add anxiety. But I want you to take a deep breath. And I want you to look at your life 5 years from now. And if it doesn't feel any different than that first where your life is right now, I want you to make a decision for yourself today to make a change. Whether that is to reach out to a friend and say, you know what, I'm just not feeling my best self. I don't know what that means, but I'm just not feeling my best self. But reach out to maybe your provider, whether it's a doctor, a psychologist, a psychiatrist, a health coach, a life coach, maybe even just somebody on this panel today that you resonated with, and just say, I want to make a change in my life. What do you recommend? So taking that first step to making a change in your life, taking that first step to grab a hold and control of your mental health is you deciding you are worth it, you are good enough, you are strong enough, and I encourage you today to make one change for the rest of your life. So I thank you so much, everybody, for having me on here. I'm going to hand it back on over, but thank you so much. This was a great experience.
Thank you. Yes. Thank you for sharing all of those tips. You know, nutrition is very important for your mental health as well as your physical health. And so I definitely wanted to definitely have you on. I'm so glad that you definitely touched on that. Next, we have, well, I don't see her here on Clubhouse, but she is on Zoom. Let's see. We're gonna go ahead and go with, oh wait, Dr. Suzanne, are you on Zoom? I don't see you on there.
Yeah, couldn't get in. I don't know why, but
Okay, well, since this part right here is on Facebook, I'm gonna go ahead and have Coach Rose speak, and I don't see her here on Clubhouse, but she is here on the Zoom. And so, well, yeah, I will definitely pass the mic to Miss Coach, and she is an amazing.
You can explain to Dr. Suzanne how to get to the Zoom again. She was waiting there for a while. Yeah, so.
I emailed it to you. Wait, I don't know if I emailed it to you, but I did put it in the group chat, as well as I sent it through. I can email it to you really quick while Coach Rose goes, and she is. I'll go ahead and introduce her.
I'm trying to get in. Right now I'm on the computer, but for some reason, I don't know, it's not opening up.
Yeah, we'll have Coach Rose go, and then I'll email it to you while she's speaking. Let me see. Are you able to be on Clubhouse?
Thank you.
Yes.
Are you muted? Let's see. Coach Rose, are you able to be on Clubhouse, or I can leave my mic open and they can hear you?
I'm here, so what do you want me to
can't hear you. Oh, let me. All right,
I'm
there we go.
here. Can you hear me?
Okay. Yeah, I can hear you now. Okay, so this the next speaker, she is an amazing woman. She sent me this video that just kind of explained everything that she's doing for Kenya, and she's just you can definitely introduce yourself. I'm gonna definitely be trying to get Dr. Suzanne the link, so you have the floor.
Thank you. Just let me know if I'm clear again. I want to say thank you so much. I just love what you do. And we connected immediately. Actually, we met. I think you were the first group that I did meet when I got into the Clubhouse. You were so kind to me and so humble, and you are an amazing lady. I just want to give thanks to God that such people like you exist. So once again, thank you. Thank you for having me. I love the topic. Being a parent myself, I feel so humbled and honored to be here. Parenting isn't easy. Just to jump on it, if you want to read more of my bio, please feel free. She has given you actually the brief of it all. But the key thing we're talking about here is about parenting. It's a parenting summit. And every parent has a different, unique experience from one child to the other. You can never have all the children in one basket and think it will work for you. It doesn't, it will not, forget it. So what do you need to do as a parent is what I'm trying to bring across. I work with many youth and women all over the country, and also, of course, in Kenya specifically. And again, we have to agree that where we are matters a lot. Where you come from has an influence, but does not mean that you cannot understand where your child comes from. The speakers that went before me were very well endowed in what they were talking about, and I just feel privileged to be with them in this platform. So what is key that I want to look at is how do we parent? We have to have a positive parenting. You cannot have the same kind of parenting with child A, child B, child C, and etc. So positive parenting requires a strategy. You have to create and develop it. You have to make sure that you have a relationship, a healthy, and I'm insisting, a healthy relationship with your child. Because if you don't have a healthy relationship, then things can go wrong, which most of the time does, because you think that you know it all. They'll tell you, yet you don't. We have to know, again, each child is unique. And because they are unique in their own aspects, we have to deal with them uniquely. Do not forget that. And as a parent, you will always try to make the best choice of your child. Hence, the need for you to know your child is very, very important in life. Because if you don't know your child, then chances are you will not be able to help them. So what are we talking about when we say healthy relationship? It matters. It matters because you will be able to understand your child well. You'll be able to talk to your child right. You'll be able to understand what age is my child at this time. We don't want them to grow. Did you know that? We always want our child to be where we were comfortable with. It doesn't work like that. A child age 7, a child age 12, a child 15, a child 18, and we're all children even to our parents. We are not the same. We grow. And as we grow, our needs become so different. Our way of communicating with our kids is key. Parenting involves great communication, healthy relationship, understanding that each child is unique in their own way. And as the health experts would encourage, let your kids have enough sleep. When they have enough sleep, then you're able to understand their way of acting when they wake up, their way of acting when they're active, their way of doing things at certain times. It doesn't matter what age they are, but understand that they need all that kind of atmosphere that make them grow. I know we've been given about 20, 25 minutes. I have to be careful what I say. Once again, have to know that each child is different, they're unique, they're special. Have a very important thing, healthy relationship. Find out, how do I get to know what's going on with them? What you need to do, avoid asking questions why. Why questions will not be very well welcomed. So why do we have to avoid those questions of why? Because you limit getting to know your child. So instead, ask questions like, what did you think about this? What did you think about what happened last time? What would you have done differently? So when you do this, you're bringing your child home and you're getting to understand. We're talking about parenting here and choosing positive parenting. So your way of raising your children, our children, is by understanding that this child is unique. I need to create a healthy relationship, and I need to speak to the child as an individual and ask the right questions. Never use why. If you use why, and I know many parents will tell me you are on point there, because why will kick your child off the program. I did a lot of mistakes with my 4 children, I'm telling you guys. When you ask why, very little answers will come from them. And also, your tone matters. If you are tired, and I think one of us mentioned, please watch your tone. Your tone will dictate what the atmosphere you're going to create for your child. When you're tired, please do not communicate if it is something that is supposed to be handled by the kid or by your child. Allow time when you're relaxed, and then ask permission with the right tone. Just recognize they're human beings too. You have to have their consent. You have to ask permission. When they give you a yes, go for it. My ages of kids are different. I have, ages between 30 and 14. So you can imagine how I have to balance my questions, how I have to balance my, interaction with them. So I'm sharing with you guys that learn how to communicate and get to know your child. Never say why, because why will block the next answers. Give them an opportunity to be who they are and be comfortable in their skin and be comfortable in whatever reactions that are needed. I am just so privileged to be with you guys here because that has worked for me in many cases, but doesn't mean I've succeeded 100%. Hence, I'm just sharing in the Parenting Summit that yes, The chances when you will not be able to get what you want from them, but know how to present yourself and know when to ask and know how to ask. Please, things that we do wrong, we bribe our children. Don't you dare bribe your child. When you bribe your child, you're creating an atmosphere that in the near future, as they grow, they know that things cannot be done unless there is a bribe on it. That is a wrong way of parenting. Please have your one-on-one talk, even if you disagree, regardless of what age. And a 3-year-old has that right. Let them realize that you have this limitation. It is up to X, up to Z that you can do. So let them know there are consequences in everything you do. If you have to put them in writing, go for it. Anything that will work for you. Again, this is not a monopoly answer for everybody, friends. This is an answer for each individual child. Have them know the meaning of what you're talking about, how you have to solve that problem through your conversation. Don't get into an argument, because many times you won't succeed, parent. The arguments will end up backfiring on your face. I'm an old school, was taught differently, and I can tell you applying that is a zero acceptance because it doesn't work. So identify the issues, have consequences, put it down in writing if you have to, explain yourself clearly, and make sure that you are parenting right. We are talking of positive parenting, where you involve your child, you understand where they're coming from, you appreciate them every single day, and you work with them. You better work with them, because if you don't, then there is a problem. You want to grow your parenting aspects, get to parents who have done it. You don't have to do exactly what they do. You will be forced to modify according to your child's situation, and you'll be forced to modify according to the environment you live. As I say, where I live, smacking a kid was not a big deal. But of course, life is changing. I cannot do that where I am now in Florida, guys. So my thing is identify how you solve matters with your child, regardless of what age they are, and respect them and ask their permissions if you have to do something that you think it's in the contrary. But again, lay down the correct rules. In summary, know your child, guys. Be the parent. Love them for who they are. Know they're very unique. Have a better relationship with them. Never ask question why. My background is in teaching and nursing, so I can do both nurturing and also education part of it. I want to take this opportunity sincerely to thank my friend for bringing me on board and making me a moderator and a panelist here. Thanks again. If there is any question, I'll be ready to answer. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much, Rose. That's definitely, that was awesome. I love your accent, by the way. It's really unique. I'm a big accent type of person though. So, but yeah, the questions, we will be taking questions like in the chat. If you're on Zoom, you can ask questions. I'm gonna go ahead and definitely ask anybody that's on Clubhouse to start pinging people in, because it'll be the last hour on Facebook, and but then after that, we're gonna keep it on Zoom. And so next we have Dr. Suzanne, and just a little bit of her bio. She is a pharmacist, mental and health advocate, post-traumatic syndrome disorder, and she lives in New York. I always see her beautiful lives, and I've been to New York twice, and it's a beautiful city. And so every time I see them, I'm always like, oh man, I miss those like beautiful buildings. So thank you so much for always sharing those lives with us. So without further ado, next is Dr. Suzanne.
Hi, everyone, and happy Sunday. Thank you so much for having me here. I really appreciate, and thanks for all the wisdom and sharing of others. Truly appreciate. We learn from each other. That's why we are here, to learn and grow and be the better version of ourselves and for our children and the future. This is a wonderful topic, and it's a great platform. Everything starts from our children. We are the result of being child, right? And we are here where we are, and whether we go through struggles and all that, which I have gone myself through my 10 years of divorce, and so much pain and dealing with all that. So I'm Dr. Suzanne Amini, and I work with parents on subconscious mind levels, so they break limiting pattern, continue going from generation to generation, so their children don't get trauma. You know how struggle women and mom often sabotage themselves and their kids. Well, I help them to break the limiting and sabotaging pre-programmed patterns, so they don't need to carry it and hurt themselves and their kids any longer. We know that the subconscious mind, it's 95% of how we behave in our life, and only almost 5% is the conscious mind. So it's a kind of pre-programmed from our childhood and our growing up. And that's why it's so important as parents to take care of these things while they are programming, so we don't have to reprogram later, as we do it in neuroscience, NLP. So unconscious parents can unconsciously hurt their children without even being aware, and because most of our behavior and reaction are automatic from the subconscious mind. And then we surprised that so many youth feel depressed, and they get into addiction and all those ADD and ADHD and etc. labeling, and then they have to take all these antidepressants, Zoloft, Prozac, or anti-anxiety such as lorazepam, benzodiazepam family, and clonazepam, or the speed amphetamine pills like Adderall. So it's very important that we be aware, and then we have to deal with these things. With our children, prescription addiction and their side effects, which can paralyze them and from fully functioning for themselves and being in the society. I have clients that are dealing with their children because they were single mom, and they had a hard time dealing with their own struggle, with their own life, and then now they're putting it on the children, right? They don't know anybody. It's not that that's what they want to do. I mean, I witnessed that through my own family, that how things like that happens, cousin, sister, and so friends. So that's why it's very important to deal moms with their own emotions, and this way they're not taking it to the children, and so they would be traumatized by that. Here I have few tips how to stop this unconscious hurting pattern, so we don't bring it to the next generation. And first is to have an awareness that we are pre-programmed walking machine. That's just how it is, as I said, from the 95% of subconscious mind operating. And even we have great intention to raise a child with love and good environment and etc., but we need to remind ourselves that often our behavior is detached from our intention. For example, someone knows she should eat healthy, right? And yet still they eat junk, right? Because her behavior is detached from intention. And because consciously they want to be healthy, but unconsciously they're automated to behave differently. So when you notice that uncontrolled snap at your child, and now you feel guilty, you just behave, you react to their behavior and you snap at them, and then you feel guilty, and just don't just apologize, but really learn from that, because that's what we can do from any situation. Every situation is all learning. So what we gaining from that? And then this is when we ask ourselves, what triggered me? What is it that triggered me that I snapped at that child? And what would you do instead next time when something like that happens, when that trigger shows up? So in neuroscience and NLP, we have a technique which is called swish, that helps you to change your response to triggers on the unconscious level. So this way, it won't repeat itself. And also sometimes we put a lot of pressure on our children because we want them to live our dream and our desires. We personally, things that we personally didn't fulfill and we didn't do. So now we want them to do it, right? And we forget that our kids have their own dreams and desires, and they're not interested in fulfilling yours. And they don't want to live through you. They want to have their own journey and their own life. So that puts tons of pressure on their lives and their shoulder, because they want to please the parents. I remember actually growing up, my father, God bless his soul, he was a mechanical engineer, and he was an entrepreneur, as I am. And he was always inspiring me and encouraging me to do anything and everything that I wish and I desire. But it was one thing that he actually asked me not to do. And I'm very creative, and I love design and any creativity. So I wanted to study architecture, and I actually got my drafting diploma and all that. I love design, I love fashion, I love beauty, I love life. So he told me, he sent me out from, I'm originally from Iran. And when he sent me, he said, but please don't tell me you're going to go study architecture, because my brother and sister are both architect and civil engineer. And he asked me not to do that. It was the first time in my life that he actually asked me that. And guess what? He mattered to me so much that I said, okay, all right, I can do something else since I'm passionate about life and I'm an entrepreneur. So luckily I was able to pick something else, and I went to medical, and that's how I became a pharmacist. But anyway, it's that's very important that we, want our children to follow our dreams and desire. So when you notice that, these things, then you can stop and not to control them and ask them to do things that it's your wish and desire. So we're not putting pressure. Then also try, they're unique. They have their own uniqueness and their character. And then if you tell them to do something, then they get internal conflict. They form internal conflict that makes them stuck and suffer. And so as a parent, you have responsibility to nurture yourself as well and fulfill your own dreams. So you're not kind to your kids, and they can model self-nurturing from you too. So that is very important, that you take care of yourself as a mother, and so they would learn from you the way you are to yourself, kind you are to yourself, and you are after your passion and dreams and desire, because they learn and they follow your footsteps. So in neuroscience NLP, we have a process called part integration, which is to bring your internal conflict into resolution on the conscious level, to bring your behavior to follow your higher intention. And the last thing I will share with you in this conversation is that there are some things you can practice on your own, and I will share a few more in 1 second. But then there are also amazing tools that I would love to help anyone who feels that she sometimes do things that sabotaging themselves, and naturally it sabotage their children, because children want happy mom, right? So so going back to my tip, write down the things in your behavior that you wish to change. And by writing them down, you will be, it will bring a great awareness to you, and it will be an awareness checklist, which I offer also absolutely free 30 minutes consultation, so you can bring your list with you. And now think about the trigger just before you do the unwanted behavior, and write it down. And then near each behavior, so you basically you have to figure out what is the trigger, right? And what is the unwanted behavior, and you put it in a column near each behavior. Now that you figure out the trigger, now you write down how would you want and choose to act instead. So basically what you want to replace it with. What is it that it triggers you, and that what do you want to replace it? So this list can be like a table of 3 columns, and I would love to see your list. And let me tell you about this list and the awareness. So this list and the awareness that you have, this is already making a huge difference in your child life. And because there will be less snapping, and you're more control of your trigger, and plus you are more likely to catch yourself ready to say the wrong things and replace it with the empowering one instead. So the most important thing is the awareness, like we know in anything and everything. Once we have consciousness and we have awareness, then we can make it, we can change the situation and shift. So I hope these tips will help you. And if you have any question, you can ask me. And thank you so much for everybody's time. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, that was amazing. I think it's a good thing I'm recording all of this, because I'm not able to take notes, but I do want to. So next we have Joyful You. I'm not sure how, I don't want to butcher your name, but she's an amazing woman from Nigeria. She is John Maxwell certified coach, NLP practitioner, CBT practitioner, and with certificates in child psychology. And she has her master's in public administration. And so without further ado, go ahead, you have the floor. How do you say your first name, first of all? Oh, you're on mute. You have to unmute yourself.
Okay, so can you hear me now?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Hi, everyone. The first name is Uwem. So can you hear me there? Did you get it? Uwem.
Uwem.
Okay. Yeah. So I'm hoping that you're going to tell me how to say your name, because I've been struggling with that also. Okay.
So yeah, so my name is Aislet Zeladon.
Iceland.
Yeah,
Okay.
I go by
Fantastic.
Sachi Ice Queen. My middle name is Sachad, and so since both of them are really hard to say, most of my life I've just been known as Sachi. So I respond more to Sachi than however anybody wants to pronounce the other name, because sometimes I don't know they're calling my name because they're not saying it right. But yeah, I'm not really sure how I met you. I think it was in a parenting group or something. But I got your email and I read your paragraph and your credentials and everything, and I was like, John Maxwell, I have to get her on, because my mom, she's an ordained minister, and she would read John Maxwell books like all the time. And so I know that he is big on leadership. And so I was like, oh man, she's going to be really good if she's gone through John Maxwell's coaching. And so I was so excited that you were from Nigeria. I was like, wow, my mom follows TB Joshua. I don't know if you know him, but he's a prophet there in Nigeria, and she's really adamant about, watching his content and stuff. And so I was like, oh, so excited, because I knew she was going to be excited. And so, yeah, you have the floor.
Thank you very much, Iceland. Thank you to everyone who is here. Glad to meet you all, ladies. My name is Joyful, and Uwem, I hope that you are able to pronounce that, but if you're not, you can just call me Joyful. And it's something about Joyful. Joyful makes me glow. Joyful makes me happy. Joyful makes me joyful, and I'm hoping that you're going to have that also. Let the name be contagious. I'm hoping so too. Okay, so thank you for this opportunity to share with you. And you've pretty much read a little bit about me. I don't know how much time I've got, so I wouldn't want to go back there. And I'm hoping it's okay if I do share my screen in somewhere along the line. I might need to share my screen. I'm hoping that's fine by you also.
That's definitely okay. Go ahead and share your screen. It's still on Facebook, Facebook Live, and on Zoom. And so anybody who's on those two platforms will be able to see it. And we're going to keep the Facebook Live for like a day or two, and then it'll be on SoundCloud the rest of the time. I'm probably a week. I'll keep it on there for a week. That way more people can view it. And then it will just be on our SoundCloud playlist. But yeah, go ahead, share your screen, do what you gotta do. You have the floor.
Thank you, Iceland. Thank you. Oh yeah, it says you've disabled participants sharing screen. Okay, so you may have to enable that. When you do, please let me know, because I want to share some things.
Okay, yeah, I think they just made you a host, so now you can share.
Okay, thank you. Okay, let's see. I'm hoping that worked again. All right. So if you're able to see my screen, please let me know if you can see my screen. Let me know. Okay, are you able to see it from there?
Right now, I'm not. I can only see your face.
Okay, so let's just go ahead. So maybe like me and so many other parents that maybe yourself, we could be having this picture perfect kind of home, where everybody's happy, daddy and mommy are happy, the kids are happy, because that's probably the picture that we want everybody to see. Okay, please let me know. Can you see it now? Can you see my screen now?
Yes, now you can.
Okay, all right, thank you. So if you see this picture of this beautiful, beautiful family here, mommy's smiling, daddy's smiling, and the kids are pretty happy, so oftentimes that's what we see, that's the family that we put out. But the truth about it is that we could be struggling, we could be struggling with so many things, with getting everybody happy, and for me, this had been my reality at some point until I got to understand that if I needed to really have this picture, you know, this perfect picture and having this life behind the scene, I needed to understand my children. And how do I get to understand my children? You know, people are wired differently. Everybody is wired differently. You know, I'm different from you, Iceland. I'm different from every other person there is. And it doesn't even matter if we're a twin or, you know, or we're better at the same time. It doesn't matter how many we are or we've been at birth, but we are all wired very differently. And so our responses are different to so many different things that happen to us. So what I'm able to absorb, you may not be able to absorb, or another woman, another mother, or another father may not be able to take that in the way that I take it. You know, so based on that, and you know, this wiring is shaped by our environment, the places that we, you know, we're groomed, what kind of nurturing do we have, what kind of upbringing do we have, and then our own natural responses also, you know, our DNA, you know, and our natural makeup, you know, also affect how we respond to things. So yes, I came in, I think I came in a bit late, but I heard what the last speaker just said about how we respond to things and how we could change it. And I think she gave an assignment for us to do. So yes, so some of those triggers may be set by some things, you know, in our upbringing. You know, it could happen that those were the things that we were able to carry on while we were growing up. But besides that, there's some natural things, that natural wiring in which we have been made up. And because of this, we see our environment differently. We access our children, we listen to them, we perceive them also differently. Okay, so how do we get to understand, you know, ourselves? How do we move from the point where we understand our children in their natural self? How do we understand them in the way that, you know, they are originally wired? And I understood that having this, being able to perceive them in the way that they are wired, goes a long way in helping us to distress ourselves, distress the family, you know, enjoy life a lot easier. I don't know, I can't do without joy and joy, so I must always find a way to bring it up, you know. Okay, so I want to share with you today some of the things that we can do to recognize the stress in our children and how to really distress them. And I have a favorite part, like I always say, how to connect to their giftedness. Okay, so I'm going to share with you how to recognize these behaviors, and then I'm going to use 4 examples to set, you know, to name these different children. I'll use 4 examples to do that. So the first child I'm going to share with you today is the child who is, can you see my screen now? Can you see my screen now? So
Yes.
the first child I'm sharing with you is a child who is a born leader, you know, who shows the tendency, who has a dynamic tendency. This child is decisive in nature and they are goal-oriented. You know, they are the kind of people who are spontaneous and they give the right reactions. You know, I don't know if you can just picture, or if you can just think of that child, maybe one of yours or maybe one of the children that you have come across. They are born leaders. They like to take charge of things. They like to, you know, they just love to be the forerunners. They want to be in front. They want to be the ones who are directing and leading everybody. Can you just think of that child? That child loves to organize. They are goal-oriented. They're specific. You know, they're specific and they seek practical solution. Can you just think of that child? Maybe one of yours. They're activators and they lead and they love to organize. This kind of child will excel in emergency. You know, so if you have a picture of that child, you know, you may want to understand how this child is functioning, how this child is wired, and how they actually work. So I'm going to share with you some of their stress signals. So if you have a child who is showing the tendencies that I have mentioned and listed above, you would understand that their stress signals will be that they'll be resistant. So those are the kind of children would say, people who do not understand them will say that they are stubborn, you know, in a sense, they say they are stubborn. these children under stress are strong-willed. So you may want to check out some of those phrases that we use to describe them. From stubbornness, we could say they are strong-willed, and we could say that they are rebellious under stress situations. They get angry, when they are being stressed up, and they become more demanding and very controlling, when they are stressed up. So think about that child. I listed the characteristics of that child, and think about how they, how they respond to stress. You see that these phrases, these words that I've listed here, they are resistant, become strong-willed, become rebellious, angry, they get demanding and controlling. Okay, so see, I'm going to show you today how you can turn this stress, you can actually help them through, they can get through this stress, by just understanding them. So the first thing you would want to do is to give them an opportunity to be in charge of something. Okay, give them an opportunity to lead at something. So maybe that they have siblings, you could give a task and ask them to take charge of that task. So that way you're connecting to their natural ability of being a leader. And when you understand it that way, you find that you're deflecting the stress level that you have in your family. So this child is leading, this child is in front of everything. This child is finding a task where he can actually control other people, and not just controlling other people. By giving them that specific task, they are able to control that task, decide the outcome of that task, and actually get to working, to bring about a solution to that task. Like I said, this child is one who loves to find solutions to a problem. So if you understand them that way and give them something that they can actually work at, then definitely they're going to be more understanding, more complying, to whatever thing that you want them to do, or how you want them to, to behave at home. And I listed some ways that you can connect to their giftedness. Besides just saying to a child, you are great, or you are wonderful, once you know that this child has the ability to lead, is a born leader, he can organize, he can excel in emergency. So what you can now do to, to raise their esteem, their self-esteem, their strength, is to connect to that giftedness that you know about them. So for instance, say, I like that you are confident in yourself, because yes, it takes a confident person to be a leader. So for them to be able to lead and take charge of whatever task that you have given them, then you need to complement that giftedness that they have. So I like that you are very confident in yourself, rather than just say, oh, I like, oh, you're great, or you did well, or you are awesome, or something, So you could just say, I like that you are confident. I like that you're able to exhibit these confident tendencies. And you can say, I like that you set your mind to something and you go after it, because these born leaders are people who are goal getters. They set their minds to do something, and then they want to do it. They want to achieve it at all costs. So because you see that your child is able to achieve something, they put their minds to it and they go get it. So you complement that giftedness. That way you're able to connect. So they feel like you understand them. They feel like you're speaking their language. They feel like you know them very much. And once you're able to do that, you can actually turn them, you can make them more settled into your world or into your family. So the third phrase that I love to use with this kind of child is to say that I like how you are committed to a task and how you are able to deliver it, within a short time. So that way, what you end up doing is that you connect and you help their potential, to turn that stress in which they are in at that moment, you turn it into a motivator kind of for them. So connecting with that giftedness is, it's it. For me, it was a game changer. It was a game changer for me with some of the kids that I worked with, and even my own children. It became, I just had to understand who they are and then speak in the language that they understand. And that way we flow a lot better. Okay, so child number 2. This child behaves, this child is outgoing. They're the ones who love the shiny objects. They're influencing. They love to volunteer for jobs. They make friends very easily. They're social animals. They're emotional. Most of the time they're emotional. And they're people who inspire a lot. They just walk into a place and then they turn the atmosphere into something light and enjoyable. They're easy to go with, they're easy to flow with. And most times they have a high energy and they're very creative. And one of the key things you should notice about these children is that they are talkative. They're the kind of children that you go out with and someone just sees them, oh, hello, and they go telling you, oh, yesterday my mom bought this, my dad got that, my dad this, that. Oh, they're the ones who would spill all your secrets. So with this particular child, there's nothing that you can hide. There's absolutely nothing about the family. It's better you don't even say it, because if you say it, they're going to say it also. So, think about that child. Think about that child. You may have that child, or maybe you've experienced that child. They always want to show off. That's another thing. They want to show off. They want to update you or update a stranger or someone they haven't seen in a while, with what's going on in the family. So they talk a lot. So when you have this kind of child, just imagine, you may have even seen adults who are like that, or probably you're one of such a person. So imagine that you're in a stressed environment where you are not able to socialize, because remember that these people are outgoing, So when they get to that environment where they're not able to really be who they are not able to function in their nature, in their natural, shall I say, habitat? Yes, they're not able to function there. So they become active, overactive, or sometimes hyperactive. They become impatient. They become loud. They just talk. They talk a lot. They seek attention, that even if it's a negative attention, they just seek attention. They want someone to listen to them. Why? That's because in their nature, they are people who command influence. They love people to see them. They love to be the life of the party. They want to be the one that is seen. So when they are being stressed, they will seek this attention, even if it may be negative. They will still seek such attention. And they have big emotional displays. They are the ones who go screaming because they're angry. They let out their emotions here and there. They have it up at their sleeves. They could let it out at any point in time. They're impatient. They're very loud. So having this kind of children might stress you a little bit, because they get this way, and sometimes you're scared, especially if you're not in that personality type. So here, you can connect with this child. You can definitely connect with this child. And one of the ways that you can connect with them is to redirect them, into their giftedness. So give them an opportunity to socialize, especially right now. In some countries, the COVID rule is still being, strict and being implemented. So you have kids who are confined to a space, and it's difficult for them, because most of the time they're going to be emotional and they're going to let it out. Most of the time they're going to be hyperactive, pacing and talking a lot more than they usually do, because they have this sense of confinement. They feel so. It's not so for everybody. And of course, we all know that it's not right to compare them to any other child who loves, to be in a certain space and is not complaining about that space. This particular child cannot be confined. So what you can do for this child is that, since they are social animals, the primary thing you can do for them is to allow them to socialize, and then allow them to talk. Create an opportunity for them to talk. They could even record videos you know, they could record videos, because that way they feel like they're communicating in whatever form, they're still communicating. You know, have them connect with their friends who are not in their environment. Of course, if they're in a COVID a restriction area, you know, they won't be able to connect with other people. But even if they're out there and they're in a classroom, this kind of child would not love to be confined for such a long time. So because of that, you need to allow them to socialize. You need to allow them to talk to people. You need to give them the opportunity to talk. Give them the opportunity to ask questions. If they are younger children, these children will ask questions that may not even connect to whatever topic it is that is being treated or what you're talking about. But the best thing you can do to get them to cooperate is to allow them to give them the opportunity to talk. So with this kind of children, don't be the one who has the most to say. Give them an opportunity to say something. And here are some ways that you can connect to their giftedness. You can say to them, I like that you're fun to be with, because of course, these kids are fun to be with. They are fun to be with. Such children are fun. There's never a dull moment with them. As a matter of fact, I have some kids that I have, you know, I tag them, never a dull moment with you. You know, so each time I see them, I go star, never a dull moment with star. You know, so you find that they are cheerful, always cheerful, always cheerful, always they're fun to be with. They make friends, they socialize, they crack up jokes a lot, you know, from things that you can't even think of, you know. So you can say to them also, I like that you're a friendly person. I like that you are friendly. I like that you're able to socialize with people. And I like your enthusiasm.
I like that you say that, you know, to remind kids, you know, of their personality, of who they are, because I mean, I have an autistic kid, and I notice that whenever I remind him who he is, and when I remind him, you know, that he is kind, that he is, you know, because kids are just like adults in a sense, where they will, you know, be self-critical of themselves, and kind of forget of who they are, especially if they're in school. You know, they're constantly being graded, constantly being critiqued. And so, yeah, any kind of things that will build not their ego, but their confidence, I think is definitely important. I don't want to cut you off, but we literally have maybe like 10 more minutes.
Okay.
I did want to ask Miss Stapleton if we could finish hers out, or if you wanted to do, are you you're on Zoom, right? I was gonna give, I don't see Abigail on here, or I see a Queen A. I don't know who that is, but.
I'm here, love. Can you see me? I'm here.
Okay. Oh, okay. So, yeah, Coach Joyful, if you just want to wrap it up so that we could definitely give Abigail, you know, a good 10 minutes. That way we can definitely go along with the schedule.
Okay, so I'm just going to take the next less than 5 minutes to finish this. Okay, so the third child I'm talking to you about is the one that is easygoing, well balanced, quiet, but really witty. They're agreeable, you know, they're good listeners. So think about that child who helps and looks out for other people. They're consistent, reliable, and really dependent kind of children. You know, so these children, when they are being stressed out, what they do is that they become more submissive, or maybe stubborn, depending on whatever threatens their security. So they reach out for relationship even stronger. They are the kind of children who are, you know, a good friend. They stick even closer than a sister, you know. So these children, I call them the world's best friend. They go out of their ways to just make peace and be at peace with everybody. So one way that you can connect with them, one way that you can deflect this stress that they have, is by emphasizing that they need to help, you know, their need to help, and then give them an additional boost of confidence by ensuring that they have what they need to succeed. You know, so these ones, most of the time, they don't take initiatives alone. You know, they need you to give them that boost. They need you to talk to them. They need you to encourage them, to set the pace for them, and they can follow, and then they can fly. So another way that you can or some ways that you can connect to their giftedness is by saying to them, I like that you're a caring person. Like I said, they're the world's best friend. So you can compliment that they are caring, compliment that you love how they are able to get along with other people, and they are compassionate. So compliment those natural abilities that they have, and then you're going to get the best from them. So the last child I'm talking to you about is the one who is analytical and logical. They're the very intelligent set of people. You know, they're very organized, they're creative, and they are conscientious. They seek perfection, and they're detailed oriented, they're deep thinkers, they easily see problems and errors in things, you know. We're staying on the very positive light here. So they see error and problems. So what you can do for them, you'll see that when they are stressed up, when these children are stressed up, they are overly cautious, you know, and they're critical. Remember, they like to see the errors. So they are critical, they become pessimistic. So they are negative in, you know, the way they view things. And they love to blame other people, and they become very technical. But you have a way of deflecting, you know, whatever emotion it is that they are showing at the moment. So you can motivate them by giving them an opportunity to research. So for everything that you're giving to them, you know, you can just tell them to go think about it, because they're going to get critical and logical with it. So give them time to think about everything and allow them to ask questions. Yeah. Another way you can connect to their giftedness is by telling them that you love how the effort that they put in doing whatever they're doing. So I like how you always try your best. I like that you like things to be organized and you keep them that way. I like that you listen to what others say and feel. And I like the fact that you try to put everything organized and arranged in an orderly manner. So this way you're connecting naturally to them and you're getting the best of behavior from them. So I don't know if there's any question for me. You can throw it open, or you can
yeah, we're gonna have the questions on Clubhouse.
Okay.
And so next we have Miss Abigail Moats, and she is a communications expert, human capital and power, and she's an author, transformational speaker. I've been in rooms with her, and she's just has an amazing presence about her. And so I'm so excited to definitely bring her on the stage. And it was kind of last minute how everything is happening, but I'm just thankful that again, wanted to express my gratitude to each one of the speakers, as well as Natasha for helping me with the Zoom part. Yeah, just after Abigail, Shearese is going to close it out. Oh, okay. And so, yeah, so definitely I'll be, next is Miss Abigail, you have the floor.
Hi, great day, and thank you so very much for this opportunity. It's a pleasure to be here with you. Can you all see me? I'm only seeing Joyful right now. So Joyful,
okay. So yeah, I just got a text message from Natasha, and she said to make her the host.
Yeah, I'm trying to do that.
So
you can just go to participants where you see my name, and then hover your mouse over it where it says more. You click on, and then you click on that, and then you'll see where you'll be able to make me a host.
Unsure.
Go to participants.
Okay.
Then you'll see my name, Natasha Wright. Hover your mouse over my name. You'll see more. Click on that. And then you'll see make me a host.
I apologize profusely. This is not occurring.
Well, no, not for you, Queen A. This is for Joyful.
Yeah.
Oh, I see.
Yes.
And Iceland, I have several people that have been trying to join the meeting. Is it restricted?
No, I mean the Zoom.
Yeah, I had one person earlier, but Anywho, that's okay.
The Zoom is about to end. After you and Shearese, we're gonna end the Zoom in Facebook. We're just gonna all be on Clubhouse.
Okay.
And so, yeah, they can email me if they want to be in the next one.
No worries. They were coming on to support. They were just coming on to support. No worries.
If you're on my Facebook, you can share. I'll connect with you so that, you know, I can share it on your wall.
There we go.
Yay.
All right, fantastic. Okay, there I am. Hi,
Okay.
Great day, ladies. How are you?
Amazing.
Fantastic. It is an absolute delight and honor to be with you all today. Thank you once more, Lady Islip, for this amazing invitation and opportunity to connect with these phenomenal women. I tell you, this has been such an amazing time of sharing and fellowship, even in this space. I'm amazed at the digital human experience at this time. I think that we all thought it was a subpar experience prior to COVID, but now that we have all been forced into this medium, we've all become, or we're trying to get better. I'm not that proficient, as you can see, still at it. I still love the human connection. I still love to hug and touch because that's naturally who I am, but I am so grateful for this and these phenomenal women with all of this wisdom, expertise, insight, experiences, both naturally and clinically. It's pretty amazing. So I'm grateful to be able to add to the discussion. So I am Abigail Moats, the communication expert, Islip. Okay, so it's a moniker. It's been there for a very long time. So the communication expert, and it's very interesting. While I have not birthed children out of my natural womb, okay, there's that admission. I
forgot to mention that. So on all of these parenting summits, I always want to make sure I include someone who's not a mother, just to get their perspective. You know, on the last one, we had two ladies that they didn't have kids, but I definitely wanted to get like the daughter's perspective and also a spiritual mother's perspective, because in my eyes, you're still a spiritual mother to a lot of people. So
you're so kind. And in fact, my spiritual daughter was trying to get on here. So I am blessed to have two spiritual daughters. They're young women, but then I'm an auntie. I am a G-auntie, confession, and I'm a sister friend. I am an advocate for parents. And in fact, I've been speaking professionally since the age of 14. And I started out speaking to other teens about postponing sexual involvement through a program. But then as I progressed, I began to empower the parents of those children. So I've been advocating for parents, it feels as if my entire life. And I am truly of the adage that it takes a village to raise a child, and that it's been very interesting. My BFFs all have children, and naturally my siblings have children. So I am really fortunate and blessed to have seen parenting directly head on, but I want to add a twist. I want to add a twist that now I am the daughter or the child taking care of my aging parents. So this dynamic has presented a new experience for me. And I do believe it's very similar. I will never say it's the same, but it's a very similar dynamic that I have to now protect my parents. I am now responsible for doing their final expenses. My mother just came out of the hospital on Friday, and prayers went up because Lord willing, she'll be 80 in 2 weeks from today. So God is great. And my dad's trailing behind her. He'll be 79 this year. And I've walked through a 90-day hospital and facility stay to get my mother back to life post a stroke a few years back, and in a number of varying things. So it's very interesting that as the child watching over the parents, you then begin to remember all the lessons and the information and the wisdom and the instruction that they gave you. And I find myself having to feed that back to them. I'm trying to refrain from becoming emotional. But it is a phenomenal dynamic, and it's a phenomenal gift, because I know that you parents are endless in your love and endless in your giving. And I love Lady Leslie. I just love her so much. I love all the ladies, and Dr. Amini as well. But Lady Leslie was so authentic in her talking about the need for self-care and not it being a buzzword. So having been a professional speaker, I'm almost, and you have to forgive me, but I'm almost perturbed by the number of people that everybody's running out to be a speaker, and they're usually copying everybody's words. They have nothing authentic. They've not done their own personal journey and studying. They're kind of like trying to wing it because it seems popular. But when you have been called to empower people and persons on a deep level, I've sat with people, I've ministered my whole life to people that were suicidal, that felt like they were dying, to children that didn't have senses of self or self-identity, to women and parents. I've ministered to pastors and leaders. So I've seen all sides of it. And I'm just convinced that we all are so experiencing this human experience similarly, right? So all of us want to be seen, heard, known, loved, and understood. And when I think about the clinical expertise of persons like Coach Joyful and Dr. Amini, when they're talking about the disposition of children, children are just young people. They're just young adults, right? They're just little humans. And so most of the trauma that happens in our life, I'm an author of 3 books and I'm working on 2 now. But in one of my books, I reference an amazing phase that talks about we spend our entire adult lives trying to outlive our childhood. And it's very interesting because the trauma that people experience as young people or persons, they carry it with them throughout their lives. So when they get married, they're in relationship with a person that came from a whole different household, came from another experience different than themselves. But all in all, they're coming together, trying to form a new union and habitation as parents, right? So we're forming this union, but you've got your stuff and they've got their stuff. And together you are trying to flush your stuff to become synergistic. And I think it's an amazing dynamic. So all in all, when I think about what it takes to be dynamic parents, but amazing humans, it is us allowing the grace for others to be who they are, for those persons to be allowed to be aware of their trauma, and to not run from those difficult moments. I believe in counseling. I believe, as the word states, there is safety in the multitude of counsel. I believe in community building and believing that no one person can do it by themselves, nor were they ever supposed to. So persons that have been labeled as single parents, God only knows that they have some days when they feel like they're bouncing off the wall. But I want to encourage even them, if they just walk out their door, God has somebody scheduled to help them. God has someone scheduled to empower and strengthen them. God has somebody that's going to become an auntie, that's going to love their children. And so I want to empower and encourage any single quote, quote, parents listening that you are never alone. That it is incumbent upon you to reach out and tell what you need. And so that all of us have to realize no one is a mind reader. So don't hold anyone accountable. Oh my God, they never call me. Oh my God, they never check on me. Oh my God, they never look after me. Well, what have you done? You are responsible for your own energy. You are responsible for your own human wellness. And this is the part that people want to discount. People want everyone else, and I don't know why I'm going this way, but it must be for someone who will hear this maybe in the future, if not on this present call. People are holding grudges for people for years, Lady Islip, even those that have died. And they said, oh, my parents never looked after me. They preferred my other sibling, or, oh my God, they never asked me how I was doing. So I say you have to become the change you want to see. Gandhi said it best. So while you are waiting in a sense of hanging abeyance to get the validation you need, to get the affirmation you need to be the one giving it. I find that if you give what you need, it comes back to you multiple fold. So all of us have a responsibility for our own lives, for our own energy, for our own learning. And that takes life to another dimension, because everybody who plays the blame game, I'm going to tell you, doesn't sound popular, doesn't sound good. You're weak. You're acting weak. I want you to pick up your spirit today. People have been through depression, suicidal tendencies, all kinds of molestations, all kinds of things that could traumatize them and paralyze them forever. But it is with those challenges that you realize, oh my God, that thing hurt. That thing was wrong. It was a violation of my life. It was a violation of my energy. It was a violation of me as a woman or as a human, but I am still here. It did not kill me. Yes, it impacted me, but it did not wipe me out. And so when you mix faith with the challenges, when you seek the God, your source who brought you here, and you can say, God, I don't understand why you allow these things to happen to me. But because they have happened to me and I'm still here, I ask you now to empower me with the strength I need to get up and make decisions in my life that are empowering and strengthening to not just myself, but to others. Something I've always taught my teens when I go into various schools. I've spoken to tens of thousands of students in high schools and universities. I mean, even in grade schools. And one of the things I always teach my teens, which is applicable to parents as well and adults, I always tell them to make good choices and not take bad chances. Make good choices and don't take bad chances. Sometimes people are willing to do the thing that is easiest at the expense of doing something challenging or hard. The easy thing is always going to be popular, but the harder thing is always going to yield success. Dr. Les Brown, I call him doctor today. He's one of my good friends. I've known him for a number of years. And he always says, you need to do the thing now that people won't, so that you can live later like people can't. I want you to understand today that everything you need to be great, to be powerful, and to live your greatest life and your God-given purpose was put inside of you at the beginning of time. You came here with the stuff you need to win. You came here with the stuff you need to make a difference. But it is incumbent upon you that with the buffeting, the trials, the challenges, and the transitions of life, you don't allow it to alter your spirit. You don't allow it to break you to the point that you never get back up. Hey, weep, cry, have a day of eating ice cream if you need to, right? Sometimes you have to have that ice cream. But after you cry, after you mope, you get back up, you wash your face, you put on your best makeup, you put on your best outfit, you read your favorite scripture, you get in that mirror and you speak life to yourself, and you get up and you make it happen again today. You are only responsible for this moment. God is in the future. He's been in your past, but know that he's with you in this moment. And this present moment is all that we will ever own. So I want to encourage you today, everyone on the sound of my voice. Remember, you were born great. Nobody has to validate your greatness. It's incumbent upon you, however, to walk this thing out moment by moment, great decision by great decision, with prayer and love. You'll get there if you don't quit. I'm Abigail Moats, the communication expert. You can look me up, abigailmoats.com. I love you all, and I thank you, Lady Isleth, for this divine opportunity. God bless you all. I yield my mic.
Thank you so much for that, Abigail. Like, I don't know, I'm speechless every time I hear you. I don't know what to say other than say, you're amazing.
Back at you. God bless you. The God in me sees the God in you. Thank you.
So yeah, just to keep it along, this next speaker, she is not only a pastor and a minister, but she is a trauma-informed parenting coach. She was part of the summit last time, and today, because it's Father's Day, I asked her for just to give us a little bit of what it means, like the father's role in the family. So she's going to speak a little bit about fatherhood. And I'm just super excited to hear her talk as well, because every time I hear her talk, like I said in the first summit, within the first 15 minutes of me like talking with her, I already had goosebumps, which people call them goosebumps. I call it the Holy Spirit. So yeah, without further ado, Ms. Stapleton, you have the floor.
Thank you so much. So, ooh, that's gonna bother me.
If you want to just stay muted on Clubhouse, it'll still be on Clubhouse.
Okay, I'm muted on Clubhouse. It's the echo through Clubhouse.
Yeah, put your if you put your volume down on your computer, that might.
There we go. That worked out just fine. Look at that. See, technology. We talked about it, didn't we? So I am Shearese Stapleton. I am the executive director of Now Mothers of Joy Family Foundation, which is a 501(c) parenting program that empowers families to embrace their parenting journey, because we all have our own journey. And what more can I say to the point of that it takes truly, thank you, that was nice. It takes truly a village to raise a child, but it takes a community to build a family. And the more that we learn about, I mean, I'm in awe about everything that I've heard today on so many levels, because we all have our own niche, right? We all have our own type of way of doing things. As you see, in my mind, I'm on a tropical island. As you can see, in my mind, I am in a space where life is just wonderful and the air is blowing wonderfully. But last night we had a tornado warning. So what does that tell you? That tells you that you can be where you need to be, and your environment does play a factor, but it also is things that you can do to shift your environment. I'm doing it right now with just this wonderful backdrop, right? Because I know you all want to be there. I mean, just be honest, you all want to be there. What I'm going to talk about, what I'm going to present to you this evening is the role of a father. You know, a lot of times dads get a bad rep, right? You know, they truly do, because moms, they take the kids to school and they do the PTA and they bring the cookies, and they they're part of the they're part of the PTA, they bring the cookies, and they also get a lot of the accolades. But sometimes dads are in the background, right? They give the mom the money, they provide the transportation, they do a lot of things that help in a lot of different areas. And I can also say, for that mom who may not have a dad that is active, it's okay. It's okay. You do your part and God will do the rest. So let's talk about 3 factors that makes dads important. 1, we'll say managing emotions. Who would have thought that it would be important for dads to be able to help a child manage their emotions? Do you think about when your son or your daughter has been playing with their father, and it can be like a rough house and stuff is moving around kind of tough, and the mama's like, oh no, you're gonna hurt him. Oh no, you're gonna hurt her. And he's like, oh no, she's fine. She needs this to be able to build her character, build his character. These are things that I'm talking about pertaining to my grandfather. My father and my children's fathers were active. But what is funny to me is that dads bring on a different sense of atmosphere. They bring on a different sense of excitement. Moms, we have our way, but dads have their way too. So dads play differently. So children learn to regulate their feelings by play when they play with their fathers. So I'm going to encourage the mom that may be having a hard time of letting go of the relationship and using the child as a pawn or a chip. to let that child be available to their father, because the only person that is having is going to have a hard time later on more than anything is the child. And you want your child to be effective in every area, right? So if that father is not neglectful, if he's not abusive, let that child be a part of that baby's life. Excuse me, let that father be a part of that baby's life. Me, I get a little tongue-tied because I'm thinking a little fast. I have that thing that happens to me too, but I know how to talk myself through it. And that's one of those things that I'm not ashamed of, right? Right. So, 2, self-care for the family. We've been talking about self-care, you all. There is something called self-care for the family. We need to do this as a family unit, okay? Because yes, if mama don't take care, what they say, if mama ain't happy, ain't nobody happy. I know we've all heard that, right? But if mama doesn't even know what it means to be happy or what it takes to become happy, how can we expect for her to be able to show someone else how to be happy or even how to enjoy life, right? So a family dynamics of self-care is something that is to be researched. I charge you all with that, right? Because we've all been talking about self-care, doing things for ourselves first, because if we don't put the mask on ourselves, we're not going to be able to breathe. But if our family doesn't know what that looks like, or even knows how to gather those types of things, we're doing ourselves a disservice, because we are being selfish. If we're doing the self-care and not teaching those up underneath us or next to us how to do self-care, that's a disservice. So that's the second thing. And dads, most of the time, they do get their self-care. They come home from work, they done with life, they sit down and it's over. But they need to know how to say, okay, look, go ahead and go and take a walk. You've been working all day. Go ahead and get yourself some fresh air. And I'm not gonna give you all the news of the day right away, but when you come back, just be ready, all right? Because I gotta tell you, because this is a part of this thing that we have, called a unit. But you go ahead and get you a nice walk and take care of you before we take care of each other. So that's important. The last component is a father's love. I can only say this the way that I know how, because of the father that I know that loves me, right? And I believe that God gives us a great example of what the father's love looks like, right? He says that we are to love, that love is patient. He said that love is humble, it is honest, it is forgiving, it is faithful, and it is selfless. If we can look at all of those components and add them to our lives and to our children's lives, and this is talking from dads, right? When we think about a father, right, we just want to go run and jump into his lap and tell him all of our problems and everything that happened to us. And I'm not negating those relationships that may not have been pleasant. But what I'm saying is the love of a father is unconditional. It is selfless. It is long-suffering. And a lot of times, sometimes parents, we don't want to do that. I'm just going to be honest. It was many a times where I was like, you know what, this little kid that don't even care that I took all day to fix this food for them, and they want to tell me that they don't like it. Oh no, who do they think they are? But as I stated before in my other talk, sometimes we have to be okay with people not liking things, because they have a right to not like things, because they're learning. I'm saying this about fathers because I lost my dad a couple of months ago. And it was something that I never would have thought. You sometimes I don't think we think our parents are gonna leave, right? We don't think that something is gonna happen. But when it did, it was something that I had to succumb. And I was listening to the lady before where she was saying that now her parents are older and she's now taking care of them. That is the true cycle of our life, right? That it says once a child, no, once a parent, twice a child. Because we do go back to those stages of life. But thank God that she's available for her parents. You know, I'm sorry, I think this is a shift a little bit, but truly thank God that she's available for her parents, because a lot of parents don't have that. A lot of parents are going into homes that don't have a place to go. So with that being said, those are my 3 points pertaining to fathers. Let's not forget about them. We need them. They are important, and we want them to know that they are important. And like I said, moms who are having a hard time, please don't let your emotions or your hurt put your child in a space where one day they have to choose. That's not somewhere you want to be. So, Islet, thank you again. I so appreciate being a part of the platform. I'm thankful for the time that I'm given, and I don't take it lightly. And whenever you all want to come visit my island, you can, because it's it's available to you all. But let me say this, whatever you do, don't forget to take God with you. He wants to be a part of your plan, your solution, and most of all, your journey. Secondly, take care of yourself while taking care of others, because if you don't take care of yourself, you won't be around to take care of others. Thirdly, we are not an island. We need each other. So be available to someone, give a kind word, show love, and show the love of God. I don't know if all of you are believers, but I just have to say who I am. Show the love of the one that created you. And fourthly, protect your peace. It is very important. All right, my name is Shearese Stapleton. I am the Executive Director of Mothers of Joy Family Foundation and the Minister of Family Development for Calvary United Methodist Church in Michigan. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you.
Thank you so much for closing it out for us. Because it was Father's Day, I definitely wanted to highlight fathers in a way. We had 2 fathers that were going to speak, but they, for whatever reason, they canceled on me last minute. So I do see that Lance is there. Wanted to definitely open it up for any questions anybody.
Oh my God, can I say something, Lady Islip?
Yeah.
So this is divine. So Lance, this amazing man, is my cousin who just ministered about the role of a father last week for Father's Day at his church. So many of the components that, Lady Shearese was bringing out, he can further expound upon. So the timing of everything, other people try to get in here. He's one of the few that could get on board. So if it's okay, he could give an amazing perspective of fatherhood. He's quite versed.
So is he on Clubhouse by any chance?
He's not on Clubhouse yet. We've had that discussion. So he's just on the Zoom and Facebook. But he's an ordained minister. In fact, he's an assistant pastor, but he's just a cool guy. He's a 30-year firefighter, 30-year plus, and he's just one of the most amazing humans I know, and happens to be blood and family. So I think it'd be really
it's definitely up to Natasha. If she's up for a good, 5 to 10 minutes, I'd love to hear him speak.
Is that okay, Lady Natasha? Looks like silence is omission, so maybe it's a go.
I guess so. Oh, she said that's fine in the chat. Okay, yeah, go ahead, Lance. Go ahead, introduce yourself, because I don't have your bio or anything, but I trust Abigail. I trust her reference, and so definitely introduce yourself. And just like I told everybody on Clubhouse, this is being recorded. So I will definitely have to get your info from Abigail to send you the recording. But you have a good 5 to 10 minutes.
Oh my goodness.
He can do it in 5. He can do it in 5.
All I have is OMG. Yeah, we're actually sitting in the car in the rain, waiting to be called into the restaurant.
But you
I
look
had
like
no
you're in
idea
another
that-
galaxy with your background. So go ahead, you're in another galaxy, so we can receive it.
Well, our sister was on an island, and some of us do space travel.
Yes. So go forth and share just a couple of words of wisdom on what it means to be an amazing father in your perspective. These are parents, these are women who are in various backgrounds. Some are clinicians, and they have children that are autistic and other learning challenges, but they're still making the most of life. What do you want to empower this group and those who will see further this recording about the importance of the role of a father and being an amazing parent as you are to 4 children?
Well, what I would say, just in an impromptu fashion, is really to be present. And I would say that fatherhood even goes beyond your own children. In fact, I had an opportunity to speak into the life of a young man today that I got word, that his behavior at home was not being very respectful. In fact, being, shall I say, disrespectful in his own home. And I just had the opportunity, or took the opportunity. He had no idea that I was going to confront him. He didn't know that I even knew about what he had been doing. And I just wanted to say that, being a father, and I heard the sister mention about the village and the neighborhood, that all of those are true principles, and that we have to just be determined to be involved in the lives of our children if we're going to have an impact on society, and if we're going to play that role that's going to help our children to develop into what they need to be, as the scriptures tell us, to train them up in the way that they should go, that when they're old, they will not depart from it. And what I mentioned to him in that moment, if I could just share that, is that there's going to come a time in your life that you're going to appreciate being respected. And so you don't want to have the regret of looking back on your own life, realizing that you had lived your life being disrespectful. When you had those moments that you might have been frustrated or what have you. So at any rate, I just want to just kind of throw that out as a brief little testimony. Again, just being totally caught off guard. I didn't know that I would have anything to say. I just tuned in because I was invited by my cousin. She and we have quite a bit of opportunities just to converse. But I'm going to just stop right there. I don't want to, just go too far and, as the expression goes, have a word vomit here. Because I really was just not prepared to say anything on this evening, but I appreciate the opportunity. So I would just end by saying that we have to be present in the lives of our children.
Yes, I think that is definitely very essential. As a busy entrepreneur myself, being present is something that is so important. And I think I was raised by a single mom, even though she's an ordained minister and I had a lot of father figures. I still speak with my dad. It's not very often because he's literally not in the United States. So I still keep in touch with him, but I definitely wanted to highlight fathers and definitely wanted, definitely someone to speak on fatherhood. And it just happened that you were on. So I was like, yay, it's awesome that we get to definitely hear the male perspective. Even though I was not, I didn't have a present father, I always had an Abba father. And so my mom definitely told all of her children that. And so it was definitely a challenge when I got married. But just like in the Bible, it says that we get new mercies every morning. I'm thankful for my husband for definitely having a forgiving heart, because I think the first 3 to 5 years, I had no idea what I was doing. Because again, I never had that male figure at home. So I had no idea what that was, what to do, or, just I never saw that dynamic. And so I'm thankful that my husband, even though he is a contractor and gets contracted out, he always definitely calls and spends time with our son. And I notice whenever he doesn't as much, I notice that my son definitely gets more quote unquote whiny, or definitely more emotional. So I think that there's definitely some kind of strength that kids draw from their fathers. As a Jewish person, I know that in the Jewish culture, the father is the one that has to bless you every single night. Like they have a ritual where they literally, every single father blesses his child with a prayer or with something. And so that is something that, even though, moms can pray for their kids and they are powerful prayers, biblically, and, in the Jewish community, the father, that is the role of the father, is to protect, is to definitely have that, be that strength for the family. And so I'm just thankful that God has definitely blessed me with a good man that is good to our son, and of course to me. And so definitely wanted to express again my gratitude for all of you speakers, amazing speakers, and Natasha for definitely having this on Facebook, because I have no idea how to do that. So I just love being on Clubhouse, and I love doing Facebook Lives. And so, I didn't introduce myself in the beginning very much, but I have my bachelor's in journalism. It's right here. And it's my major was journalism. My emphasis was print. So I've been in the publishing industry for about 8 years. And I have my OPI certification, which is right there. So I love to teach Spanish and learning idiom. That's exactly what we do. We teach English and Spanish. Because we realize that here in Arkansas, as well as globally, there's a lot of Spanish speaking people that don't know their own language grammatically. They don't know how to read or write very well. And so learning idiom is a way for them to not only perfect their English or Spanish, but also we offer classes like that has to do with poetry, with art, canvas painting, things of the arts. So it's kind of like a mix of humanities and arts. And so we just definitely love to help our global community as well as our local community. Learning Idiom is a virtual vocational academy. And so that's definitely something that we decided to be able to reach more people. And so, yeah, it was a joy to be be able to highlight each one of you. I will be definitely keeping in touch with each of you and sending you the recording. Yeah, my name is Iceleth Celadon. I go by Sachi Ice Queen on Clubhouse. There were a few speakers on Clubhouse that were interested in speaking. And so the portion of the Zoom and the Facebook will end, but we will definitely be on Clubhouse because the first one was already recorded and is on SoundCloud. I'm just literally going to push play and then before I push play and start it was only an hour last time. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask Jonathan or Agatha if you want to raise your hand, and if you have any questions, definitely raise your hand. And anybody who's on Zoom and wants to definitely shift to Clubhouse, you are more than welcome to. But we are going to wrap it up on Facebook and Zoom and just be on Clubhouse. And I'm planning to be on Clubhouse until about 6 p.m. Central Time. And again, my name is Iceleth. I'm an author, a bilingual author. I love helping people get published, and I love translating. So being a a daughter of an ordained minister. I've been translating all my life and interpreting all my life. And so it's something that is something that I love to do. And so, yeah, definitely, I'd love to connect with Lance and definitely be able to send you over the recording of your portion that's going to be on there. And then I also do have a YouTube channel. It's called Moving Mountains. And so I'm going to put segments on it once I get the recording. So thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for watching and tuning in. And for anybody out there that's interested in any of these speakers, definitely reach out to us. We will be sharing their information in the page, so you can contact them. Whoever you resonated with whoever you felt that you wanted to learn more about or just definitely connect with, we will definitely be posting their information on the page as well. But again, just thank you so much for each one of you. And I don't have a co-host this time. Claudia was not able to make it, but thank you so much, Natasha, for definitely running the backside of things. And if you guys need anything like this in the future, Natasha knows how to do that. So, thank you so much, and hope you guys have an amazing rest of your weekend and amazing week. And I'll be speaking to you shortly about next week for the SoundCloud, and I'll be posting it up on there. So yeah, definitely reach out to me if you have any other questions. I'm about to start it on Clubhouse, the first parenting summit. So yeah, Natasha, you can go ahead and close it out. Thank you so much for everyone, and God bless.